Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So this is video 2 with the mic and I'm pretty excited about it. And let me know in the comments down below how you think I'm doing. So lately I've been playing a lot more MTG Arena and it's been a lot of fun. I've already built several decks that have both gotten stomped and have also stomped a couple people as well. So it's been pretty fun. So today to commemorate that, my avatar is Chandra. So what I was going to do today to practice getting better at drawing realistic looking faces is do a portrait of her as the avatar. So let's get into the video. So like normal, I did a pencil line art of the drawing to get the design of the character down, and I took that and put it onto my blending card so that I could do the normal drawing. So the first thing I'm going to start doing is just going over all the pencil artwork with the colorless blender so that it locks down the pencil and it won't blend into the color or the Copic markers when I'm going over them. Once that's down, I just give it a little bit to dry so that I can start working with my Copic markers. And once that's dry, I take my E50, which is the lightest skin tone color I have, and I'm going to start working it into the skin where the lightest parts are going to be. And I'll go over areas that are supposed to be in shadow relief several times so that you start getting darker colors. And while my E50 is still wet, I'm going to go back with my E00, which is a slightly darker skin tone, and start going over those same areas where I want even more shadow relief. And I'm going to keep doing this throughout the face, adding more and more shadows as we work farther away from the light source. And intermittently in between, I'm going to take color pencils and go into where you're going to have the darkest shadows and put just a bit of color in so that you have separations where the darkest shadows are going to be. Alright, so as I move on to the eyes, the first thing I'm going to do is take orange and just put a slight bit on the bottom side of the eye where it's going to be the darkest, and then take my colorless blender and start working it up into the eye so that the eye has an orange glow, almost as if they have fire going on inside them. And then I'm just going to take my black color pencil and outline the eye until I have it exactly how I want it. Just taking a little bit of a white pencil after the fact and putting in a little bit of highlight here and there so that it pops a little bit more. And then we're going to do the same thing where you can just see the other eye coming through the hair. For the mouth, just to outline the teeth, I'm going to take a gray colored pencil and just do the slightest outlines of each tooth, not so that they're too distinct, but so that they have some shape to them. And then with my lightest gray marker, I'm just going to go over the teeth slightly so that they have a little bit of shading to them. Then taking a lighter red marker, I do the tongue, and then add shadow as I go so that you have a defined inside the mouth. Now moving on to the goggles on her head, I'm going to start by doing the outside where it's metal and just taking my lightest gray and going over slightly all the areas where I'm going to have the most highlight, then taking my darker grays and working in where all the shadow's going to be opposite of where the light's coming from. And then for the inside, so that I have a highlight, I'm first going to take my orange, put a little bit in, and then progressively go around it with a deeper red, blending the two together until you have a seamless transition with a highlight right where the light source is. And then I'm going to take a white color pencil and just do a little bit where you have the greatest highlight. Then as I was getting to the hair, sadly I was a little rushed because it was getting a little late at night and I had work in the morning, so I had to go faster than I wanted to. But to do the hair, I used 4 main colors. The first one was a light eggshell, laying that down before going over it with a darker orange and then progressively darker browns, blending them together to give each strand of hair. And then I continued doing this throughout the rest of the head, first laying down my lightest color before going back over it with a darker brown, then going with a darker brown and blending each of the 3 together until you have more of a seamless transition. And in each area where there's a highlight, I go over it with an orange, brown, and lighter yellow pencil to give the hair a bit more character. And the last thing is going over it with a bit of white color pencil to give it the greatest highlight. In the areas where you have the most highlight, you keep the lightest color, and in the areas where you have the darkest hair, you go with the darker brown and then black color pencil. And then once the face and the hair was done, I just quickly moved on through the rest of the piece, going through her neck area, using the same process for highlights and creating shadows and blending them all together before doing the red on her clothing and the gray blending like I did on her goggles throughout the rest of the piece to give both highlights and shadows on the rest of the metal in her clothing. So overall, I was kind of okay on the piece, since at the end of the night I had to rush some things. It didn't come out as detailed and as clean as I wanted to, but it did give me a lot of practice for creating more realistic faces. The blending on the neck is probably one of the better parts of blending on the skin that I had, but I also really like the blending on the clothes where it goes from the darkest red to the lightest. One thing I think I need to work on in the future is getting better with hair. What I did was okay, but I want it to be even more realistic in the future. So if you enjoyed the video, give it a like. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, go ahead and subscribe. And if you have any suggestions to me of something that you want me to draw, just go ahead and leave it in the comment below. Until then, I'll see you guys next time. Now go make something. And that's it.